Lucy had sworn she heard laughter that morning. It echoed through the creaky halls of their century-old Victorian home, a sound that seemed to slink away the moment she turned her head. As she prepared breakfast in the kitchen, she glanced towards the living room, where an old rocking chair swayed gently, empty yet insistent with an unseen presence. She chuckled nervously to herself. Perhaps it was just the wind playing tricks on her. The day churned on, steeped in the familiar scents of roasted coffee and toasted bread. It was the kind of ordinary day that lulled her into complacency. Yet as she opened the door to the pantry for more coffee beans, she froze. There, just within her line of sight, sat a small stuffed bear, the fabric worn thin at the seams, its button eyes glistening in the morning sun. Lucy felt her heart quicken. They didn't have a child, nor any guess who might have left it behind. With a frown she picked it up, wondering if her husband had brought it home. She would ask him later. That evening she placed the bear back on the kitchen counter and poured another cup of coffee. As she lifted the mug to her lips, an unsettling draft whispered through the room, sending a chill along her spine. She shook her head, and with it, the eerie thought of shadows lengthening and twisting behind her. Dismissing it, she settled into her usual routine, but just as she began to find comfort in the familiar, the phone rang. It was Tommy, her husband, calling to say he would be home late from work. As she hung up, she noticed the rocking chair again, this time swinging more violently, as though it were protesting her days. Steeling herself, she turned her attention back to the pantry, hoping to distract herself from the unnerving rhythm of wood against wood. But the next morning, another toy appeared, the same bear, now inexplicably perched on the stairwell banister. Confusion clouded her mind. Had her husband actually bought one for their non-existent child after all? The air grew heavier, tinged with an essence of something forgotten, like dusty memories clawing their way back to the surface. Days turned into a blurry cycle of unexpected toys, a frayed doll with hair tied unevenly, a wind-up music box that played a lullaby they had never owned. Each morning, Lucy found them inexplicably placed where they didn't belong. The familiar clicks of the music box ringing through the hall felt like whispers from the corners of her home, teasing her sanity. Then, on the 5th day after the first appearance of the bear, just before dawn, Lucy awoke shivering beneath her blankets. A coldness wrapped around her like a damp cloth, and as she opened her eyes, she saw it, a thick fog creeping into her room, stark against the warmth of her bed. Panic fluttered in her chest as she caught a glimpse of breath fogging the glass of her window. An unnatural sight, because it wasn't cold outside. With trembling hands, she swung her legs to the floor. The rocking chair sat in the corner, still, its sinister presence now unmistakable. She felt the pull to approach, her heart thundering louder with each step, and there, nestled between the creases of the fabric, was the familiar shape of yet another toy. A small, cracked, wind-up clown that seemed to blink back at her through despairing eyes. That night the house resounded with echoes of long-forgotten laughter, rising and falling like waves against the shore. As she lay frozen in her bed, attempting to rationalize her dread, Lucy heard the unmistakable sound of a child's giggle just outside her door, a sound that was both innocent and haunting. With a shaky breath, she turned to face the door. It stood ever so slightly ajar, the creak of its hinges barely masking the soft murmurs of childish delight coming from the darkness beyond. Lucy felt her heart skip, then pound like a trapped bird. Gathering her strength, she stood, each step toward the door electric with terror. As she stepped over the threshold, the air turned cold and brittle, squeezing the warmth from her cheeks. Her eyes adjusted to the dim light, and then she saw it, a figure shimmering at the end of the hallway, a child clad in shadows that flickered around them like lackluster fireflies. The child held the wind-up clown, their fingers brushing over its cracked surface. "Play with me," the child whispered softly, like a breeze cutting through the silence. In that moment, realization knotted in Lucy's chest. They weren't alone, and these toys weren't just relics of someone's past. They were invitations, treasures left for a mother that never existed in this house. In a rush of clarity, she turned on her heel. She would reclaim her life, her space. This farce would not hold her captive. And so she fled back to the safety of her room, slamming the door and bolting it shut. The house trembled, swaying as if in protest, but the laughter, that relentless, cheerful laughter, wafted through the air, fading into a soft hum that chased her into a night of restless dreams. Days passed, and the presence of the unwanted toys became less frequent, each day laden with an oppressive hush that felt ominous. And then, without warning, Lucy opened her closet one afternoon to find the rocking chair back inside, its wood gleaming ominously in the half-light, its creak now a heartbeat marking her solitude. She shivered, a realization clawing at her sense of normalcy, as she whispered to herself, "Some games are not meant to be played. Some laughter is never meant to echo in a home, especially when it beckons a door left ajar."